Well, right now, the trial of a Georgia father who is accused of giving his son access to a gun used in a school shooting is currently underway. Colin Gray, pictured there on your screen, has pleaded not guilty to nearly 30 charges, including second-degree murder. Prosecutors are seeking to hold him accountable for allegedly allowing his son to possess a weapon despite prior warnings.
The defendant, 7 months after he was told by Jackson County Sheriff's Office of possible school shooter threats and being asked to restrict Colt's access to guns, the defendant buys and gives 13-year-old Colt that Sig Sauer M400 as his Christmas present.
This case stems from the mass shooting at Appalachia High School back in 2024. Colin's son and then 14-year-old Colt Gray allegedly used an AR-15 style rifle to kill 4 people and injure 9 others. NBC News national correspondent Aaron Gilchrist is following the very latest for us. Aaron, what's the latest from inside that courtroom right now?
So, Morgan, right now we're listening to testimony from one of Colt Gray's teachers talking about the day of the shooting at Appalachia High School back in 2024. Earlier, though, we heard from both the prosecutor and the defense attorney in this case during their opening statements. You heard the prosecutor in the sound you played a second ago talk about the rifle that was purchased for Colt Gray as a gift by his father. The prosecutor really tried to make the case that the father was aware that his son was dealing with anxiety and anger and violent tendencies, despite the fact that he bought him this weapon. There were points during the prosecutor's presentation where he talked about text messages that Colt Gray had sent to his father, saying, one of them saying, whenever something happens, just know that blood is on your hands. That was in the weeks before the shooting at Appalachia High School. The defense attorneys in this case, during their opening statements, tried to make the point that Colt Gray, the son, was responsible for the shooting on his own, that the father had not displayed negligence, did not disregard any risk that he knew about in purchasing the gun, in not pulling his son out of school and not alerting law enforcement. I want you to hear a little bit of what the defense attorney had to say during his opening statements this morning.
The evidence will show a teenager who is struggling mentally, a teenager who is deceptive, a teenager who hid his true intentions from everyone, from his family, from his counselor, from his siblings, from DFACS, from law enforcement, and most especially from his father.
And so obviously, Morgan, we know that the burden of proof here is on the prosecution, but the defense attorneys there obviously laying out their theory of the case that, again, the son in this instance is fully responsible, that the father did not display negligence, that he was worried about his son's mental health and tried to get help for him, but was not responsible for the deaths that resulted after this school shooting, Morgan.
Aaron, the father, Colin, is facing 180 years in prison if, in fact, he is found guilty on all counts against him. Remind us, though, of the specific charges he's facing.
Well, 2 things that really stand out as a bit unique here in Georgia. There are 2 counts of second-degree murder and counts of cruelty to children. Those 2 things sort of go together. One of the conditions of cruelty to children is that there are children involved in a crime who have been physically or emotionally, mentally harmed as a result of the actions of another person. And if 2 of those children die, that then allows for a second-degree murder charge in the state of Georgia. And so this is the case that the prosecutors are presenting here. The involuntary manslaughter charges, Morgan, are because of the deaths of the 2 teachers in this case. And we expect that this trial could go on for a few weeks. Colt Gray, the son, has not yet been given a trial date.
Wow. Aaron Gilchrist for us. Aaron, we appreciate it.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.